can be so insidious. These thoughts can start to go into loops that you may have had since you were a small child, loops about value, who you are, how you want to be treated, um, whether you're successful in your career, um, all of the various things, parts of life that can easily go sideways. I'm thinking, for example, I had a client who, on the surface, everything looked so successful, amazing job, amazing home, amazing family. And yet the thoughts inside the head were very different. And this person said it felt like everything was a house of cards and it would just take one little ping and it would all collapse. So that's what the thoughts in our head can do sometimes, is just take us into really difficult and dark places. So I want to share my thoughts, share my thoughts about how do we get out of that pattern? Um, how do we stop the looping from going on? And the first thing that I want to share about that is that some of the looping, some of the negative thoughts are a result of biology. I can't remember which neurobiologist it was that I learned this from, but one of the side effects of the second flood of hormones can make you feel anxious and nervous for no reason. So it's like the moment those hormones hit our brain, we go into these patterns. And so, and what I noticed too is that we are amazing fiction writers. We will transform stories and create even more elements in them. Like if we went and hovered back over an event in our time that was traumatic, it may not even be what we now think of it as, because every time we trigger the stress response, we're creating more fictionalized feelings or memory, and also about the future. So you'll create stories about the future that may never take place, but your brain can think about them and your brain can obsess about them. So some of the chatter in there is a result of our biology, the biology of the stress response. So let's move into some tips to help start to change that. I'm always looking for cues or clues with my body, with my mind. Do that with my clients as well. If they're talking about a certain subject, sometimes I'll pause them and say, we're on camera together. I'll say, okay, look at your face. Like, do you see how tight your face is? Maybe your jaw's gotten tight, your shoulders are going up. This is a hot topic. This is a button that when it gets pushed, you go into fight or flight. So you probably have some hot topics. What are those hot topics? Maybe you need to make a list. Like if someone starts talking politics, or if someone starts talking about someone in the family, um, an event that happened, something that happened from your childhood, if there's a project at work that's going sideways, like the moment you think about that project, you go into fight or flight. So what are those hot topics? Get very clear about the things that push your buttons. That can be so helpful. It's like a preempt, then we can have a preemptive strike, as I like to think of it. So if you know what these hot topics are, when the topic arises, either in your mind or because somebody says something, the moment that topic arises, check yourself. That is a pressure-free moment. That's a moment to actually say to yourself, I'm worth more than going into fight or flight over a discussion over this political thing or whatever it is that is your hot topic. So check yourself, realize that you're starting to move in this pattern, and and again, I would use some body tools. I would definitely go wide, because when you go wide, that tells your body, or it tells your brain, oh, I can't be under attack here, because we tighten and close our front. So don't pinch your shoulders back. I learned this from my body coach, Leela Veronica. Just go wide. So in the course of going wide, now your brain is like, oh, I've got this. And then ribs up. Lift your ribs up away from your hips. And it's like you're up and over your problem. I used to do this with my violin students. Like they're playing along and make a mistake and they go, oh, everything's going down. I'd be, no, 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 stay up. Like elevate the posture. And again, in fight or flight, we're going to coil and protect. So when you elevate your posture, it just creates a different biology for you. You can now prevent the release of the stress response and those hormones. That's powerful. So we've got to notice first. So the clues are, the first step is, what are those hot topics? Know what your hot topics are. Know what pushes your buttons. Maybe it's a certain tone of voice that your boss has that's a button for you. And when you hear that voice, you're thinking, maybe it goes back to childhood, but you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do anything right. I can't, they're going to come after me. Oh, there's so many little thoughts that can go wheeling through our head the moment we hear that tone of voice. So tone of voice could be a thing. Okay, another thing that I think is super, super helpful is to really in your mind start or on paper. If you write this down, it's even more powerful. But we have to start to discern what is it that we desire and what is it that we want and what is it that we don't want. Most people never take a time to actually think about that. I call those targets. That's the first step of pressure-free living. But if you've got some hot buttons, pause and like start, you've written down your hot buttons. Now it's like, okay, so what do you desire? What is the outcome that you want? Most people never think about that. It's Stephen Covey's got his book back there. Begin with the end in mind. If we're in a stressed out state, it's so, so hard to come up with what that is. That has been proven in many studies. Like it's almost impossible to future pace or think about the future if we're in fight or flight. So you've got to take a moment when you're calm and relaxed and just start writing about what your targets are. What is that end in that you have in mind? What is it that you desire? Do you want more peace in your home? Do you want um, more revenue in your business? Like, what is it that you want? Once you've defined your hot buttons and then you've defined what you want, you've got these two things clear. That's like step one is the begin with the end in mind stuff, the targets. Step two is the triggers. Those are the hot buttons. Okay. And now you can start to discern. Oh, wow, this little thing I'm starting to think right here, this is not going to get me to this thing here. That's not going to happen. So that discernment of every little thought, it takes practice, honestly. It takes practice. But what will start to happen if you start to catch it, and this happens for almost every one of my clients, they gain productive time in their day. Seriously, I mean, 3 hours, 4 hours. I gained an hour and a half to 2 hours within 8 weeks of using this method on myself. And what it is if you can notice that tension moment and prevent the release of the stress hormones, you just gave yourself quality time. Because if you did trigger the stress response and that's your hot button, you could ruminate about that thing for hours, for days, for weeks, for months. You could stay in that negativity for so long because once we've triggered the stress response, we're vulnerable to trigger again and again and again. Does that make sense? And so that discernment of that one thing just changed the trajectory of your life until the next thing comes. The next hot button gets pushed. The next thing that causes your shoulders to go up. It could be so minor, like a cherry pit falling into the garbage disposal. Like it could be just so minor. And so noticing, okay, there's the next one. Ask yourself, does this get me to my end in mind, to what I desire, or does this send me down? Every single little thought that we have is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to discern if the thought is helpful or not helpful. I watched the movie Tar is on Netflix, and I mean, the symphony world was where I was for decades. Like that was my life. And I had all kinds of feelings when I watched that movie. I had feelings of, oh my gosh, remember when I studied Mahler 5? Like, I had all these different thoughts going through my head. And some of the thoughts were, I can't believe that you didn't keep working on your conducting career. But then I'd see, oh my gosh, did I really want to study that hard for hours and hours and hours and never know if I'd ever get on the podium to conduct this piece? I have a few pieces that I would absolutely love to conduct. One of them is Janacek's Sinfonietta. If you've ever heard that piece, the opening fanfare is so tremendous and it requires a huge orchestra. But I have a dream of that. Janacek Sinfonietta, Firebird Suite, Mahler 1, like those three pieces, any Brahms, I would do any Brahms symphony. Like I have these pieces, Brahms piano concertos, both of them. Oh my gosh, that would be a dream, right? So all these dreams started coming up for me. Then I started beating myself up, like the thoughts twisted, and it was like, oh my gosh, you'll never get to do that, or God, I don't want to cry. You thought you were going to do that and you didn't do it. You went into management instead. Like all these thoughts came in my head. And so a movie can do it. A book can do it. There's so much stimuli that can trigger a particular thought. And then, okay, what are we going to do with that thought? Where do we really want to go? When I left performing in symphonies and when I left my teaching studio in 2019, because I just had to go all in with pressure free. Like this to me is like my life purpose. That was very hard, but it was like I'm all in. I made that decision. So now when I notice those little thoughts in my head that might not be toward that target, that's my opportunity. Same thing for you. When you think about a career thing that you didn't do or some avocation, like maybe you wanted to paint or you wanted to do something with any of the arts or sports or like these avocations in your life, things that were important to you. Maybe you wanted to be a coach of lacrosse. Who knows what these things are, but you didn't do it or you haven't done it yet. You can have a little guilt and shame, and guilt and shame are very, very low energy vibration states. And so if you read the book Power versus Force, I have a great chart if you want to see it about these states of emotions and what is happening to us vibratorily. And we want to be in the higher states, the joy, the peace, the love. So when yesterday that a couple of those thoughts about conducting came in for me again, but I had just given two coaching sessions in the afternoon that after both of them, the clients messaged me about how incredible it was and how beautiful it was and how grateful they were to me. And I was just like, this is why I do what I do. This is why I do what I do. And it was so reaffirming to have that happen. They were beautiful coaching sessions. And so, yeah, every moment of the day I look at as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to stay pressure free or to trigger the stress response and stay in misery. I've never said it like that before, but it's like, do you want to stay pressure free or do you want to stay in misery? Because there's no neutral zone. There's no neutral zone. We've either released a ton of hormones or we haven't. And the difference between those two things is huge. So if you feel like you're kind of stuck, if you feel like you have a lot of those rolling thoughts that just keep looping around, thoughts that are not helpful, not getting you to an end game, and or thoughts about your past and or fears about the future. A fear of uncertainty is so huge today. No one's safe in their career. It's incredible what's happening to people all over the country. They've had a great job and they lose it in a two minute Zoom call. I've read that about my friend. It's like so crushing. You work so hard and then it's over and then what are you going to do? So there's so much uncertainty for people. It's almost like no job is safe anymore. And we've created this society. So how do we deal with it? How do we live in it and be okay? That's what we do here at Pressure Free. We get you to be okay on the inside so you can handle all this stuff on the outside. I wish you a great pressure-free day. Bye.